Hello everyone, RFG here with a review for Conscript, a top-down survival horror game developed by Jason Mochi as Catchweight Studio, and published by Team 17. Available on PC, PS4, 5, Xbox One, Series X, and S. Taking place during the First World War, Conscript is able to present a classic-style survival horror experience with modern additions, and show the horrors of war through its top-down perspective and pixelated graphics. You begin with Andre Hiver, stationed at the trenches in Verdun, while his brother, Pierre, is at Fort Souville. Andre expects a break from the war soon, but that changes very quickly as another battle is about to begin. That battle doesn't begin immediately, and before it does, you get a glimpse of some classic survival horror staples. When gaining control of Andre, you're able to explore a part of the support trench. There are locked doors aplenty, and Andre's text boxes hint at multiple keys needed for future use. Open the menu, and you'll be greeted by a limited inventory. Finding the field menu logs it into the file section of your menu. And safe rooms with save journals requiring ink pellets for saves and item storage chests are located throughout the game. If something is shining in the area, that means it's an item or a weapon you can pick up. Weapons can be equipped in the menu and used with the aim and attack buttons. Not everything of importance nearby will be as obvious. Interactivity is important, and not engaging with the environment can cost you time trying to figure out where to go next. Your maps are useful and helpful, but movable objects and not everything important is detailed with them. That's part of why exploring your surroundings is so key to getting through Conscript. There are no explicit tutorials presented. Button prompts, information from NPCs, files, and your map screen are about the most help you're going to be able to rely on. While these are true to most of the classic roots of the genre, there are many modern additions. Your inventory may be limited, but ink pellets used for saving do not take an inventory slot. Cigarettes that you find throughout your journey, which also don't use inventory, are used as currency later on. Aiming any weapon brings up a targeting reticle for Andre. The multiple melee weapons that can be found have durability, but using a melee weapon on breakable barrels that may contain items or certain boarded up entryways do not affect durability. And weapons can be assigned to 1 of 4 quick equip slots. Andre has a stamina meter that allows him to sprint and dodge roll. An empty sprint meter will cause him to move at a slower than usual pace while his meter charges back to full. You're unable to sprint or dodge roll while your meter is charging back from empty. Using a melee weapon also uses stamina. A fully charged melee attack uses more stamina than a little to no charge attack. Using guns doesn't affect stamina. Chapter 1 does a great job of showcasing its past survival horror inspirations, while showing off some of its modern day inclusions. The first part of the chapter introduces a limited take on the exploration aspects in Conscript survival horror setting in the support trench, while the second part shows us how the controls and visuals work in a more narrow, intense situation at the front lines of Fort Souville, including its enemies and the use of various weapons. Holding the front lines leads you to find that Pierre is no longer at Fort Souville, and after an ambush, you'll enter a brief flashback to Andre's family homestead. These flashback segments give you short looks into his mother and brother's thoughts prior to Andre and Pierre being enlisted for the war. These usually show up at or near the end of a chapter. Chapter 2 begins introducing more elements to its gameplay, as will later chapters. Awakening in a dark room at the support trench, the weapons Andre had acquired in Chapter 1 have been stripped away. You'll find a pistol, and with the trench key found in the previous chapter, you can begin revisiting and exploring more of the support trench area. The core mechanics of the game don't change here, but there is a change in how the gameplay flows or how it's balanced. In Chapter 1, you're given free reign and a limited range of exploration, and then put into a battle survival scenario. Starting from Chapter 2, there's more of a classic survival horror leaning, like avoiding head-to-head fights and managing inventory with key items becoming central. Exploration, paying attention, and interacting with the environment is more crucial now than it was before. Enemies will be patrolling areas, and while you can dispatch them stealthily or not, corpses will attract incredibly annoying rats that make retreading areas cumbersome, which reminded me of a mechanic I haven't seen used in a while in the genre. While the support trench gives you one way to reduce this from happening, later areas will require a different solution. On top of this, melee weapons, ammo, and other items are more scarce, and you now most likely have to properly judge when to visit safe areas to transfer items from inventory to item boxes, and vice versa. More features of later survival horror games also appear here. You can now make use of your cigarettes. Usually at safe areas, there will be a fellow mysterious soldier who you can trade cigarettes with. They'll have various items for trade that can aid you. Some items are more limited than others, and some will be restocked, given more supply of, or new ones will be added each chapter. Most of the items available to trade with can be found in the various areas to help you survive, but larger bags are very limited and are worth purchasing for the added inventory slot. and even though you come across many gun parts in Conscript, this soldier is the only means of using them. Gun parts allow you to upgrade any gun for more firepower, faster reload speed, quicker fire rate, and increased loaded capacity. You're limited to how much you can upgrade a gun based on the chapter you're in. Access to weapon upgrades is nice, but that doesn't necessarily assist you with moving forward in Conscript. Your progression is still based on acquiring key items and using them when found. Some of these items will be locked behind puzzles, and while I wouldn't say the puzzles are complex, there is a way levels are laid out that is rather nuanced. Some will need you to take a good look directly at what's in the locations, or take a look back at your notes to discern where to look or what hint to look out for. Looking out for details within areas is a major factor in Conscript. The support trench is already a well-designed portion of the game to explore, but you'll be traversing many parts of Verdun before the end of the game, as Andre will be given tasks to assist in other sections of Verdun, while he tries to find Pierre. The combined map of areas within Conscript are much bigger than the game's file size had me thinking it would be, and while to some the pixelated graphics or the jab colors, which completely match the setting of a battle-encompassed location in a war, may make you think that the areas would bleed in together, but there's enough distinction between them that makes them each recognizable. There are other visual details that fit so well here for both the survival horror genre and the war setting. There's such a smoothness to the animation of characters that matches further movements. The camera shakes while sprinting, attacking with melee weapons, the various guns, or even in the first big battle at the front lines all feel very visceral. The sound adds on to that feel. Multiple enemy footsteps in the area, the sound of an attack landing, or the shift in tone when spotted all leave a lasting impact. Although it matches the genre, a lot of the soundtrack felt low-key to me, but there are well-made tracks that tie the locations and our moments together. Conscript has 4 difficulty modes available, and each one lets you add an option of having unlimited saves and/or autosave checkpoints. No matter the difficulty selected, these 2 added save options prevent you from achieving S+ ranks in a playthrough. I played through the default soldier difficulty with no additional save options, which I found fair. I had a decent number of deaths, but I found that had more to do with me being careless at times, or me trying to brute force my way through certain parts. Besides what's said in the difficulty selection menus, it seems like only certain challenges are affected by difficulty decisions. If you are interested in the challenges or about Conscript in general, there's a good amount of replay value. There are multiple endings and various challenges that look like you can combine them together. There are also bonus weapons and unlockable costumes to dive into the trenches for. Conscript survival horror gameplay makes excellent use of its World War I setting, not just on a cosmetic level either. The story, items, weapons, enemy designs, even the use of cigarettes, photographs, and propaganda posters spread out in the game feel representative of the time. If you're not into the top-down perspective or pixelated graphic style, I think Conscript has far more substance than what you see on a surface level, and I think its more modern additions and replay value make this worth picking up for fans of the genre. That's about all for me. Let me know what you think below. Thanks. Bye.